Welcome back to the Reseller Journey Podcast. And in this video, I have a master jeans reseller, Andy Greenslitt. And he is so knowledgeable about jeans. I have not met anyone to this date that knows more about jeans than he does. So we're going to get right into it and bring him on. And if you have any questions for Andy and you want to get into jeans, drop them in the comment section and we will get to it. So let's not waste any more time. Bring him on and see what he has to say. Welcome.
How's it going, buddy?
Good. Yeah, so kind of just like fill in the audience, like where are you now at in your reselling business and how did it all start?
Well, I started selling miscellaneous things on eBay about 4.5, 5 years ago. Actually, I started from a debate I was having at my job at the time. And I said that, that people, there's so much ability to make money without having any resources, right? Like you don't have to have, like back in the 50s and 60s and 70s, you had to have some money to start a business because there was no internet and access to things that you could actually develop a business out of for $0 was impossible then. And now we're having this big debate about it. And I told him that I would make $1,000 in 1 week, and I had to start with $0. I had nothing, and I had never sold anything in my life to this point. So this is a pretty solid claim. I went and I got a chair off of Craigslist for free out of the free section, threw a rag on it, and sold for $40. And the whole business actually transpired into what it is now. From a $40 free chair that I got, 4.5 years ago. And a lot of learning and a lot of pain through that entire process. I actually didn't even niche down into jeans until 2023. I went off. I had a business partner in a previous eBay business that was more mall brands and sold everything all together. And I decided we want to do different things entirely. We actually have a great business relationship now, but we just wanted to do different things. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to target a market space that had, I felt like the competition was weak in that space as far as the people don't have as much knowledge in the jean. I was one of them. I literally knew nothing at the beginning of 2023. But I did know that there was things that I had in my control, which was presentation. I could present them as best as I possibly could, which was something that I felt like was very weak, at least on eBay. So I knew I had that in my control. The overall knowledge of everything I felt like was going to happen as it came. And my overall perspective on what I wanted to do was I wanted to do everything to 100% completion at the very beginning. And then I would try to weed out what I didn't need necessarily, or just learn as I go. So that was on January 14th of 2023. And in 2023, I finished my actual just men's jeans. I finished at 90,000 gross sale. And, that's not including the men's pants, which if you're familiar with, like Carhartt, for example, they're running at 80 to 100 a piece. So there's a lot of money in the men's pants and then women's denim and stuff like that. So it has progressed dramatically. And there's a few takeaways that I learned as I went, things that were unnecessary and things that I felt like were necessary. And as of 2024, I'm implementing all of those things that I learned in 2023, because 2023 was just a financial sacrifice all the way across the board, because I was learning and I was trying to know everything I could. And, despite what anybody would say, I knew all along, a lot of people were saying what I was doing was unnecessary. I knew I was going to get that a lot. And it had nothing to do with that. It might have been unnecessary, but they don't know either because nobody else has tried it. So
For sure.
As I went through that, I got to weed out a lot of things that really probably aren't necessary,
Mm-hmm.
or just
Yeah.
don't uh, weigh out correctly. Like, I mean, you might earn an extra $2-3 off the unit, but it takes too much
Mm-hmm.
time, so it's not worth the
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yep.
But everything matters. That's one
Mm-hmm.
thing that I really learned, is everything that you do does
Yeah.
matter. It's just whether it's worth it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
we're on 2024 and things are going really well. And
Yeah.
I'm excited because summertime,
Mm-hmm.
it contrary to what you would think, that I thought, this is denim season. This is when you
Mm-hmm.
make all your money, because in the fall
Mm-hmm.
and late fall and winter, they're brutal months for the used clothing
Mm-hmm.
market. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're into the gravy season now.
Yeah, for sure. And I actually, just a simple side note that you bring that up is, like, I notice a lot of people leave behind more denim this time of year because they're like, oh, I got to get into shorts now and in swimwear and stuff. So it's like, sweet, I'll pick that up. No
Dude, oh
problem.
man, this is when you make all your money. This
For
is,
sure.
I mean, you make almost all of your money, um,
Mm-hmm.
from, well, I guess it depends what kind of season it is, but generally
Mm-hmm.
from April until September, this is your
Mm-hmm.
juice. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this is when you make all your money, and then you have to just fend off the wolves in the winter. And
Yeah.
that's pretty much how it goes, because people aren't buying used goods as often,
Mm-hmm.
as gifts in the shopping
Right.
season. So
For sure. Yeah.
the buyers, your consumer is depleted, as far
Mm-hmm.
as for themselves. So,
Yeah.
um,
Focusing more on new stuff.
right.
Yeah, that just makes sense.
Hmm.
So Righteous Monkey says, "We in here. What's going on, brother? Thanks for watching. Appreciate you. One busy mama to you. Hi from Florida. Hope all is well, and hopefully it's not too hot there. I wish I had some of that heat.
Yeah,
It's
I'll take
50,
it. Hey, bring it
50,
here.
54 today, which is hot for Oregon. Bobby loves to thrift. Hello from Northeast Ohio. I hope you're doing well, Bobby. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. You're always in here every time we go live. I appreciate you. Teaching AI says, here for the genius gene info. Great stream like always. Thank you. Yeah, if you guys have questions for Andy, please drop them in the comments. He knows his stuff. Marcus, what's going on? It's been a while, man. I haven't talked to you in a while, man. I hope you're doing well. Appreciate you, brother. Righteous Monkey, what's up? Elite Supply Bunker, hi from New York. Hope all is well over there, brother. Double Dip Deals, what's up, David? Good to see you. Checking in from work. Julia says, hello from Oregon. Hey, I hope it's sunny today for you, because it's like the Oregon sun, you got to take a picture of the sun and then put it up on the wall and go, that was the day the sun came out in Oregon. And that's awesome. So Marcus says, righteous monkey. Laugh out loud. Rocket. Okay, cool. So, yeah, if you have questions, let us know. And jumping into the next question, what are some good indicators that can help you determine whether your jeans are vintage or not?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, most of the time when you're getting into vintage jeans, at least the ones that you're going to find most commonly, there's a lot, very limited amount of brands, that, in comparison to now, first of all. So
Mm-hmm.
you're really going to be looking into like the Wranglers, the Levi's, the Lees, you'll get
Yeah.
Roebucks,
Mm-hmm.
etc. But most of it's working class jeans. There's very few designer ones that you're gonna, I mean, brand wise, that you're just gonna run into, um, you know, enough times to where it's actually relevant. I mean, you will stumble onto some stuff from the '70s you never heard before as a designer brand, that
Yeah.
you can dive into. But collectively, you're looking at, it's mostly gonna be workwear denim. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so first and foremost, those are the ones that you need to make sure that you're checking most often. You'll know when you run into something from the '70s that's designer, because they're cuts that are not, consistent with anything you've seen in modern, since 20 or probably 2000, really.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot. One thing that you won't recognize cuts right out of the gate for the most part, what you're going to recognize is back patches for Levi's, right? So they on the back patch post 2002, which I mean up until last year was like your cutoff for vintage, right? Or well, technically the 20-year difference, right?
Right. Yep.
That's also when they stopped. I think they closed down the last factory in 2002 in the States. And there's some small samples of stuff that's come out, afterwards. But usually it's a limited type deal. Most often anything prior to 2002, you're going to find a blend from 95 to 2002 of like Haiti and Dominican Republic, in USA, but collectively USA is going to be your vintage. Anything Levi's USA going to be vintage. And a lot of the times now, well, for the most part, when you're looking at the back patch, we'll start there. The font is clearly different. So you're when you get into 2002, when you're talking about 501s, for example, it's a smaller font than what you see now. They increased the font size after 2002 it's just a bigger 501 or 505, 550. It doesn't matter. It's a bigger font. Prior to that, it was smaller and bold. So it's just a shorter in height and bold. That's where you're getting, and also in red. So you'll see those ones. That's a pretty good indicator that you're at least in the Y2K area. And then moving back into the late 80s. That's generally speaking where you're at. Occasionally you'll run into some off colors like a brown. Like sometimes the orange tabs will come out and they'll be brown on the patch. These are all things that they don't do now. So they are indicators that you might be dealing with something that is a vintage piece at least. Wrangler, anything made in USA is going to be 90s and older. Generally speaking, that's just a rule of thumb, because there's no real way to date Wranglers. I mean, it's you essentially, the way you can date Wranglers ish is just by the tag style that they had. So they always have it right along the zipper line, right? And once they moved into a nylon tag, like a nylon polyester, I don't know what kind of fabric they use for that tag. But those ones are going to be your Costa Rica and Mexico's, Dominicans. And that's collectively where you're going to find almost all Wranglers in general, at least in the cowboy cuts, which is probably where you should stay. If you're entry level into denim, you should stay with your cowboy cuts, which are like your 13 MWZs.
13 MWZs,
because that's going to hold, that has a really good value as far as like a floor level. They don't necessarily go to the moon. Like Levi, like some 501s will go to the moon, right? But but Wranglers don't do that, but they also have a very, very solid base and floor. You should be selling all of those for at least $15. Any 13 MWZ. I mean, just across the board. Your boot cuts and like your 945s. Those are also good ones to go with, and those are a good vintage model as well. But those are going to be all made in USA. Now, obviously, your tag is going to be your biggest tell on any pair. But now what you're going to run into is a lot of these vintage pairs don't have a tag. So you got to find what those indicators are that would tell you when it was made. Wranglers are tough. Wranglers are tough. You almost just have to go off the look of them. And in fact, if there's no tag, I usually don't even list it as vintage, because they are. And that also could be a reason why there is such a low ceiling on Wranglers, is that their product is almost the same. Whereas you look at a pair of 501s now and a pair of 501s from 93, they are not the same. No. Different denim, different washouts, fades, everything looks different. So the quality is different. And that's why they might, that could be a reason why, at least, that the vintage 501s from the 90s specifically, or 80s even, why they can reach such high numbers. But and then when you get into Lees are the same type of a situation. Late 90s, they moved into Costa Rica. But collectively they're all USA.
Yeah.
When it comes to like the actual denim itself, almost always going to be 100% cotton. So you have to
Yeah.
one really big thing that you got to do if you're going to figure out or try to at least uh, timeline your pair of jeans that you have. Um, almost everything was 100% cotton. You run
Yeah.
into some poly blends and stuff like that, but if you see spandex or if it
Yeah.
has a stretch like that, probably not.
Yeah.
But really feeling the denim itself, if it feels like it's a heavyweight, feels like it's a cotton, I mean, you have a higher probability that that is going to be in your vintage pieces. But veering
Yeah.
outside of your core brands like Levi's, Lee, and Wrangler, um, veering outside of those, I wouldn't suggest doing for anybody entry level because you might be running into some pairs of jeans and just because they're vintage, like his hardware, nobody's heard of that, right? HIS hardware. I think I don't even know who makes it, but they're almost impossible to get rid of. They're made in the early 90s. So it's
Yeah.
just because it's vintage, it ain't money. It's really
Yep.
you want to target the predominant amount of searches.
Yeah.
So stay in your lane with the brands.
Yeah.
Which is nice for men's jeans because it's limited anyways.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So 100% cotton. There's going to be no stretch. You're going to
right.
feel it usually before you even do those extra things like checking the tag and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, that's really good stuff. Yeah, so pretty much when the tag is a paper tag,
Correct.
that's going to be like that dead giveaway.
That's a huge
of
indicator.
Like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
For sure.
and they're even getting away from it now to where they're graphic prints on, on the back and stuff like that. And small, I mean, almost everything modern is made out of like a nylon tag, shiny tag. If it's paper, you got a chance.
Yeah, and the nylon tag will have almost a book on the inside of a couple pages of reading material for you.
Right.
Julia says, "What's up?" Righteous Monkey says, "What are some popular sizes of jeans do you find that sells well?"
32 is your most predominant sell-through size. Now it doesn't necessarily mean that anything isn't going to sell well. It really depends on what the jeans look like. I will tell you this though, that if you are into entry level denim and jeans selling, once you exceed 36 in the waist size, to be fair, actually 34 is probably going to be your best, but 34 and under. So 28 to 34 tag sizes, 27 to 34. Most often they don't go lower, but lower is not bad. Going above that, it starts to get a little bit thinner for your market. And I just think that's mostly because your consumer is younger and your consumer is going to be smaller sizes than people that are over the age of 40, which over the age of 40, you get limited consumer. It doesn't necessarily lower the value. Your size doesn't necessarily lower the value as much as your sell through does. Like you're just not going to get as many eyes. So if you roll a 32 out there to sell, and you have an audience of 1 million, or if you have a 48 by 30 and you have an audience of 100, I mean, it takes a long time to move that. So anything where the inseam exceeds the waist size, that's probably going to be a good pair as well. That's a good rule of thumb too. But I use a drop. My initial start off was called the drop 6, which was anything where your waist size cannot exceed the inseam by more than 6 inches. So something like a 36-30 is going to be, that's going to be your sell through cut size or cutoff size, something like that. Because anything under a 36 would be like a 34, not too many 34-28s. So you're almost always going to be within that realm of 34-30, 32-30, stuff like that. But if the inseam is longer, that's always a positive.
Nice. That is good. Yeah, it makes sense. Like the market demand and like the majority of people and your demographic,
right,
kind of cluing in on who your actually end buyer is, figuring that out is key. Julia says, any tricks on getting American Eagle to sell? I have an endless supply. it's used so to be easy bread and butter, but it's not moving like they used to. So
Well, it depends if it's women's or men's. In the men's space, it's actually I love American Eagles in the men's space. Women's space is very saturated, and you have a high competition. Um, if you do sell on eBay, for example, and I'll use that because that's my platform, you need to. It's more of a competition of that top slot. So if you have American Eagle and women's jeans, you need to make sure that that search is going to be at the top of the list, because there's so many thousands of pairs of American Eagles on there that you're competing with such a huge amount of other sellers that probably have more money and can bankroll and work on such small margins that they can lower their price enough. So, or they can pay a higher promoted percentage. But regarding men's, there's far less competition in the men's space in general, and that competition that is there is fairly weak. So, I mean, really, what I do is I run all my stuff on 13% promoted now. I bumped it up.
Nice.
Yeah, and I actually went from selling 1% of my store to about 1.8% of my store every day, which is crazy if you think
That
about
is pretty,
3% difference. I mean, it was a very good sacrifice, that 3%. So
yeah. So Julia, just maybe you could play around also too with your promotions if your margins allow. That could always end up being pretty good in the end, just spending
yeah,
that little extra money.
that would be my only suggestion for that.
For sure. Yeah. I have had experience where the women's American Eagle jeans, you're not going to get as much money and slower sell through, but the men's is a different story for that brand.
Of course.
One busy mama to you says, Andy, what is your best all-time find in jeans?
Well, if you were to, I guess that's kind of a hard question, only because, a pair of jeans that I sold above its peers, something of the same era and same stuff like that. That's what I would consider my best find. Is I actually, out of the bins, was 3 pairs of USA 501s that were, I think they range from 89 to 92. So they're nothing that you don't find commonly anyways, as far as a time frame and a model. Not hard to find. But they had the most unbelievable washouts that were just, they were stain free and had the most incredible washouts in them. And the first one, I listed them at 3 separate times because I remember seeing them and going, damn, these are like the most beautiful 501s I've ever seen, because they're so unique. And so I actually listed the first pair at $199.95, which was at that time was the highest sale of all time for a pair of 501s from that time period, by about $70, and it sold in 2 days. So the next pair I rolled out, I did the same thing, listed it for 300 though, sold in 2 days. And I was like, this is insane, because this is so far above market. This is like, I can't understand how this is even possible, because it was so fast. Last pair I listed at 500, and it sold in 4 days on an offer of 440, which is so insane. So I mean, you're talking about a pair of jeans which I've had that same model, same year, same everything except for the look. And yeah, and they sell between 80 and 120, I'd say, in that size. And then you roll it out for 440. That is insane. But as far as like time period is concerned, I found I've had a handful of Big E's. My best all-time denim find is a Type 2. I found a Type 2 from the early 50s. It was beautiful. It just had it was a small size, which, contrary to most denim articles, if you get into the Big E denim jackets, you want it bigger. you want it to be bigger sizes. The smaller sizes underperform. So if I would have had that size, it was a size 38. If I would have had it in a 48, it probably would have been $6,000-7,000. Instead, it was $2,500. So I mean, it's kind of that's a little bit different, but and then I found some Big E jeans and stuff like that, but nothing older than that jacket and nothing older than like 1964, I'd say. Just a couple. You don't find them often, man. They're you know, I don't go pay up. I find them. So you know, anybody I could go down the road and go buy 10, 15 pairs of Big E's that, you know, for $400 or $500 a piece, but you know, there's no money there. I would be a collector then. So.
Hanging up on the wall.
Yeah, exactly. So
no, very cool. That's awesome. Did you find those pretty easily, or were they kind of some searching?
They were just Ben's finds. I was gonna respond to Mike here.
See?
You can. Yeah, you can tell by the zippers, but it gives you more of a time period. I can't remember exactly what year that they switched to the boot. But they have a boot zipper, and I wanted to say that's like a 90, like late 80s, 90s difference, and I don't think it was a Talon. It might have been a Talon. But the boot is that switched, you know, like the 90s. So I mean, you're still in the vintage era when they did that. But prior to that, it's then you get to a different tag style, and then bluebells, and the way that they actually applied the tags and stuff like that kind of gives you more of a closer decade. But the boot, that was a good example. The zipper can at least give you a cutoff line. I just have to look that up. I can't remember what year that was, but it'll give you a cutoff line of, you know, I think we'll say it's 1990, that if it is not a boot zipper, then it is going to be older than 1990. So that was a good point, Mike.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Righteous Monkey says, by the way, thank you guys for sharing experience and knowledge. You're welcome. I mean, appreciate you guys being here and listen to us. So Mike C says, style is what sells, no name vintage brands. Strong keywords are needed.
100%. Million percent.
Yep.
In fact, when you get into those, you actually front load. Well, at least I do. I front load all of my keywords and back end my brand name, because nobody's searching for that brand name. So you gotta target the keyword.
Real smart. Lag says hi. Hello. Hi again. Hello. Thank you for watching. Julia says thank you. And Elite Supply Bunker says, best place that you know to source jeans in bulk.
I mean, it really just depends on what price you're trying to pay. I mean, I just buy Salvage now, and so I haven't been to the bins in 2 months. But that's where I used to buy all my denim from, was from the bins, and that's primarily because of the way I do things. I don't necessarily think that's the best idea for most people, and that's if you're going to focus on that, at least, because, you know, I don't know if this is the same thing around the nation, but at our Goodwill here, they pick in the back pretty hard. So anything that is in good condition, or at least sellable right now condition, is pretty limited. And if it is, it's usually a pretty rough brand. So anything that has blemishes, though, they'll still send that out. And but that's where I made a huge focus in my business, is to I guess I would consider myself more of a makeup artist for denim. Than I don't fix anything. I actually probably destroy it more than I fix it. But I alter the appearance to make it a sellable unit. And that's trying to do that in mass was very, very difficult. And that was that financial sacrifice that I was talking about earlier, that I made in 2022, because there is absolutely no money in doing that until you figure out how to do it quickly, because you just get murdered in time. So but if you are trying to just source out Denim in general, that is sellable right now. I mean, your best place is going to be racks. The thing is about it is, I mean, I'm sorry, when I say racks, I mean like
The
savers.
retail. Yeah.
Right. That's going to be your best, probably end result is going to be the best. You're not going to be buying things necessarily that you can't sell. And if you go to the bins and you're just getting things in bulk and then you run it through the washer and send it, you are going to be spending a significant amount of time on items that will not sell. So you're going to be sitting there with a truck bed full of jeans, taking it down to the Goodwill that you had for 2 years that won't sell.
Yeah.
So my suggestion would be if and you need to go, you should start at racks, and just don't go over a size 34. If you stay
Yeah.
inside 34, you can make money, at least here, the way they price things here at the racks. You could make money on almost every single pair under a 34. It's just whether it's $2, $10, whatever it may be. I just don't like to pay $8 to sell something for 16 and make $3-4, but you really could probably just go buy everything 34 and under and make money.
Yeah. I mean, that all makes sense. Makes perfect
Yeah.
sense. So the Shinya Daily, hopefully I said that right, probably not, but she's just kind of referring to like what you just touched on. You buy Salvage, but you were just doing the bins,
Right.
and some
It was mostly to the reason I wanted to do that collectively wasn't necessarily so I could hit more home runs on stuff that they missed. It was that I could essentially get all of my sourcing done in one day for the whole week. And I go pick it up on Wednesdays, and then Thursdays you spend sorting it. I don't only sell jeans, but it because in this kind of a scenario, I'd be throwing away too much value in certain jackets and tops and stuff like that. I don't specifically focus on that stuff. That's more my offload. Like I get it, and it's gone. I don't price it to ink every dollar. But I get a lot of denim that is because they don't hang it. These thrift stores, they don't hang stuff that has a stain for the most part. I mean, if it has any defects, they throw it away. So I absorb those, and I tried to create my business model in order to accommodate that. Right? Like it's, I just need to know how to make it sellable in a very short period of time, which I'm pretty confident I can make. I'd say 95% of jeans outside of like a crotch hole or a tear downing. Those ones you can't really fix them without spending significant time. But as far as stains are concerned and stuff like that, I don't usually exceed a minute. But I can almost make anything sellable in a minute.
Nice.
Which is that was the number one thing I wanted to do in 2022. And it's occasionally you go up and do a little extra, but for the most part, it's sub 1 minute, maybe 30 seconds for the most part. But it's just tricks. You gotta learn tricks.
There's a cutoff point to where you're like, I'm spending a little more time than I need to.
Right. I mean, and figuring out what you need to do to accommodate your resale value versus, so just for example, there's a stain in the knee and there's no tears, there's no distress, there's nothing. There's a stain in the knee though. And you can't get that stain out. Okay. You can eventually get that stain out. It's going to take you a lot of time though, because it's, you're going to be washing and doing whatever you do to, I'm not going to say what I do, but the processes in which you do it to get rid of a stain, you can do it. It might take you an hour's worth of time though to get it out. Whereas I would just, now I can understand that, okay, well, if I get the stain out, it's worth $2 more than if I distress it out. So I have a distressing, and I'll just distress it out. It has the same sell through, stain's gone, but I lose out on $2, but I saved an hour of time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of stuff like that.
That's real good. I mean,
Mhm.
this is good. So getting back into it. So if you have a pair of vintage Levi's, what are some good keywords that you're going to be using? I mean, you can just broadly touch on it. You don't have to give away
Yeah,
your
yeah.
secrets, but like, what are some generic kind of keywords to help those buyers find that product?
A cut is really important as far as getting it moved quickly. Eventually,
Mhm.
somebody will find it, right? You always
Mhm.
incorporate your model code. A lot of
Okay.
times you don't know what that is because they might have the back patch ripped off or it's an orange tab. A lot of orange tabs. I don't know what it is about orange tabs, but and I don't even know if this is what they did, but they won't have a back patch on so many. And I don't know
Okay.
why it's always on orange tabs, but
Mhm.
it always is. Seems like.
Hmm.
And whether the previous owner ripped off the patch
Mhm.
or not, there a lot of the times there won't be a model code on the back or on the back patch. So you'll have to look on the inside at a
Mhm.
tag. If you don't know how to read the tag, then you have to go off a cut, what they look like. So you need to know what like a boot cut, a flare, a baggy fit, relaxed fit, tapered.
Yeah.
If you know what those
Yeah.
are, you need to incorporate that into your title.
For sure.
And when talking about jeans though, and so I would, even if the pair of jeans is tapered, I
Mhm.
wouldn't recommend putting that into any kind of a keyword or using that as a
Mhm.
keyword. I've
Mhm.
had very, very, very minimal success using tapered in any
Tapered.
title.
Yeah.
So I would just stay away from that. So like
Mhm.
550s are in vintage. Levi's
Okay.
550s are relaxed tapered. It'll say
Okay.
that on the tag a lot of time. You don't have to say tapered, just say relaxed.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, if it's a baggy fit, make sure that you're using baggy. Anything in the
Mhm.
560s is going to be a baggy fit.
Baggy.
Um,
Yeah. Good
and
keyword.
then like 517s are your boot cuts.
Mhm.
505, 501s, 502s are your straights. So
Mhm.
it's you don't have to say straight in the title. In fact, if it is straight, just don't leave. I don't even put it in there because
Hmm.
the person who's buying a pair of straight jeans,
They
uh,
know it already.
well, yeah, and they're not necessarily searching for straight jeans because most jeans are straight. The
Right.
ones that veer off of being a regular fit straight leg, those are the
Mhm.
ones that you need to incorporate into the keywords, like relaxed or baggy, slim,
Mhm.
what
Mhm.
boot cut, whatever it may be. Something that veers away from the predominant, which is a regular fit straight. So you don't
Right.
have to put those things in your title. Fill those,
Mhm.
uh, if it is faded,
Mhm.
most denim, after it's been through the wash 10, 15 times, um,
Mhm.
it starts to bring on different character, fades,
Mhm.
whiskers. Um,
Yeah.
if it does, then you want to make sure that you put faded in the title.
Mhm.
If it's
Mhm.
a medium, if the denim is a medium, don't put medium. It's unnecessary.
Medium wash.
Yep, medium wash is
Yeah.
no good. Light wash fine,
Yeah.
dark wash fine, or dark fine.
Mhm. That's good to
Um,
know.
but medium is nobody searches it.
Yeah.
I mean, not enough people to justify it, right? So
Right.
um, you incorporate. You want to use as many character
Yeah.
pieces as you can
Mhm.
because if you have 80 characters and you got to
The
fill
full
it out,
80. Yeah. Yes.
um,
Mhm.
and most of the stuff you're dealing with is going to be modern. So,
Yeah.
vintage and made in USA make it pretty easy to fill that title out, as far as getting keywords and such in there.
Mhm.
Um, but when you don't have that, you have to use some creativity and really just start diving into character things. So
For sure.
that'll help you move a lot of
That's some
stuff.
good stuff. Very
Yeah.
good. Yeah, no, that's awesome. So looking towards the future, where do you see your business like in the next 1 to 2 years? Do you see yourself like scaling it up big time, maybe hiring an employee or two? What do you see happening?
So at some point um, I will be hiring an employee.
Hmm.
Um, my ultimate goal is really to I I want to do it's not because I just want to say that I did it all by myself. I want to know how to do it all by myself.
Yeah.
Um, and my goal is to gross $1 million in just jeans by myself. And then, if I get to the point where I'm at least pacing it, I might entertain the idea of bringing in somebody. That would be, I usually, my average sale price, all in gross, on jeans fluctuates between 37 and $39 a pair
Nice.
usually. So, that basically would mean that I have to sell, what is that? 30,000 pairs of jeans in a year. I mean, 30,000 pairs of jeans, you figure, what is that a day?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot. You have a lot.
Yeah. It's a good bit.
Yeah. I mean, and you're typically capped. I feel like I at least have a process that is going to be as fast as anybody can do jeans, at least to the standard that I do them at.
Yeah.
And I can do about 40 of them in an hour. So and that's just picturing, that's not including anything else, the prep
40 sets.
Goes into it.
Right.
So in order to sell 30,000 pairs of jeans in a year would be very, very difficult, but I want to learn how to do it for myself. And I think that this year, like I said, last year, my first year going into it, did 90,000 in men's jeans. And this year I think I'm going to do 500.
Nice.
Just because, but that is just
that's great.
Primarily because I know what to do with them now. And I get to apply, there's no more experiments, and I get to apply everything that I learned, and just target essentially just allow everything to run its course. And thus far, it appears at least as though it's going to be close to 500. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's so cool. Just like a little side note from just talking to you and explaining kind of the background, it just sounds like you found what you really liked, and then you had like this obsession of like learning as much as you can to really have that competitive edge against everyone else.
To be fair, like I had so many people when I first started this. All my peers, that's the thing is I've always been a hyper competitive person, and you get 20, 30 people telling you that ain't gonna work, and you don't do that's unnecessary. And I'm like, dude, all right, man. Now I have to do this.
They're kind of like
put it in your face,
you.
man.
Yeah.
So that's really what it comes down to is I have a ridiculous competitive mind, and which to a fault, because I will run an experiment straight into the dirt to make sure that I'm wrong or right. And that has made some bad impact in 2022. So I mean but I learned it all. I wouldn't change anything that I've done. The course of all the things that I did that were bad,
led
the learning
to that point,
the experiments. I mean, I would have never known until I actually did that. So I mean, there was a lot of different things that knowing what I know now, but I never would have known them had I not done it wrong the first time.
Yeah,
I probably have the record for the amount of mistakes made in 1 year. I swear to God, it's unreal.
That's good. And I just heard this a couple weeks ago, and it just keeps playing in my mind, is if failure is not an option, then neither is success. You hear it all the time, like, we cannot fail. It's like, but you learn so much from failing.
You have to fail.
So you have to.
If you're not failing, you're not. If you don't make a mistake, then you ain't taking. You can't win.
Risk. Yeah.
Like you eventually. I mean, I'm not going to compete at the same level as a lot of these guys are that have been doing it for 10 years. I'm trying to compete with them in a shorter time period than what took them to get there. But they have already made their mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
and they formulated their business. And that's what I want to do is I want to compete at the highest level.
For sure.
And I'm not going to be able to do it the same exact way that they did it because they already own that style. Everything they do, they already got it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to beat out a guy that's doing it the same way for 10 years, that's difficult to do.
Yeah.
You have to have some nuance. You have to do some changes, and that's kind of what led me into that path.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love to hear it. Lag says, I'm going to ask it anyways, but he wants to know your source. Where do you get your salvage from?
It's just nonprofits. I mean, a collective amount of nonprofits. And it varies. I mean, I pay anywhere from, I get it for free up to 15 cents a pound. So, and to them, they're happy because really they just want to get rid of it. And, so when you do pay, it's usually because there's something very convenient. Like the place I pay 15 cents a pound at, they supply an obscene amount of quantity. So I'm willing to pay that 15 cents for that.
Right.
But that's it.
Yeah. So I don't want to take up too much of your time. So I'm going to bust through these questions as fast as possible.
Yeah, of course.
David Double Dip Deals. He says, if there's no back patch, but there's an inner tag, how can you tell what pair of Levi's do you have?
Oh yeah. The model code is going to be on, one of the tags. So, if you're looking at a modern, it'll be on the very last one, which is the first one is, I'm pretty sure the first one is material or country. It's one or the other. So material country is the first two tags. Third one's going to be your size. At the very top left, it's going to have a model code. If it's like a 501 or something, it'll say something like 00501, or 17501, whatever it may be. That's just usually just genders it. But you'll find your model code on there on vintage tags, pre 1987. That was before the bat wing, or the red wing. I'm sorry. The red wing came out in like 86, 87, which a lot of the times that model code will be on the front. Prior to that, it's going to be a little tag about thumb size or thumbnail size, and it'll be on the back. Usually it's just a 3-digit code though. Like it'll say like just 501. That's it. Instead of like the 8 digits, 9 digits that are on them now.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot. Ernest Valenzuela says, question, when listing jeans 90% of the time, the tag size and the measured size are different. So when you create a listing, do you list both sizes or just one?
It's actually,
if only one, what one?
And that's interesting. So before, this is actually kind of a new thing for me, but somewhat new. I always listed the tag size first, always tag size, because all it did is protect you against item not as described, return, stuff like that. So I ended up incorporating both about 2.5 months ago. I think it was the best idea I wouldn't say best idea, but the best thing I've done for my title structure on jeans in general. I always do size, and that's always going to be the measured size at the tail end of the because to be fair, the measured size is the only one that really matters. So you want your buyer to see that first. And a lot of the times the back end of your title is going to be cut off on eBay. And then I just put tag, and then I put the size of what's on the tag on the title as well. But it's always the very last part because it is the most irrelevant, but also protects you. But I use both.
For sure. Yeah. Definitely got to protect yourself from as many returns as possible. Sheena Daly says, great point about the medium wash description. I need to go back and revise my listings. Yes. Yeah. Yes, that's a good point right there. One Busy Mama to You says, thank you, Andy and Bo. Very informative video. Appreciate you. Hey, we appreciate you. You're in the comments every time I go live. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate the support. So, Joe, I'm going to say this wrong, Ebelelbi. I butchered it, but it's fine. Thank you, Andy and Bo. Best information and advice. Yes, Andy is just like blows my mind. All right, here I gotta go back and rewatch this. So she says, gave me hope. Teaching AI says, is it a market for customizing jeans? Is there a market for customizing jeans on eBay, paint, splatter, tie-dye, for example?
Yes, 100%.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, and I wouldn't necessarily classify it as customizing. If you
Mm.
perceive it as you're customizing jeans, you will delegate way more time than it's worth
Mm.
to customizing jeans, because you're going to look at it like everything has to be a certain way. If you look at it as, I need to rid the deterrence, I need to get rid of the deterrence, you
Mm.
will end up making something that looks like it's customized, and with in probably a tenth of the time. So there is, yes. So paint splatter. I don't know about tie dye per se. I haven't had very good success with anything that's multicolor tie dye ish.
Mm-hmm.
Bleached, I do well with bleached, and
Hmm.
bleached is probably the saving grace for like a dark or a medium that is in very good shape with an isolated
Mm-hmm.
stain.
Mm.
Um, the
Huh.
bleach throughout
Yeah.
gets rid of it and gives it good character. I mean, to be
Wow.
fair too, if it doesn't have any character at all, you're basically at a baseline value. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not gonna it's not gonna perform at a very high level anyways. If you do add that character, it will, and that's a very
Mm-hmm.
quick way to do it. Is learning bleach patterns and how to do bleaching.
Yeah. That's cool. That's just a whole nother, I'd love to bring you on, in the future just to be able to deep dive some of these topics. It could be a
Oh yeah.
whole episode by itself. But real quick, and then we'll let you go. What's something that you wish you had done sooner in your business that, can help make your process a bit easier, more efficient? What's something that, you wish you had done sooner?
The one thing I wish I would have done sooner is um, I wish I would have moved into, and this still is very debatable amongst a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
but I wish I would have moved
Mm-hmm.
into a natural light source, um,
Oh.
under the sun,
Mm-hmm.
literally outside, like using the sunlight
Yeah. Yeah.
um, for my photos. What I found is that you have a lot, if targeting certain times of the day, so basically early morning and then right
Mm-hmm.
before sunset, um,
Yeah.
your lighting, it will hide a lot of imperfections as far as your presentation. So if you don't have to work as hard, because I press everything, every pair of jeans I press. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and still a lot of the times it still doesn't look like they are.
Hmm.
With correct outside lighting, it gives it a more flattering look and
Hmm.
appearance,
Mm-hmm.
while also not there's no exaggeration of any kind of giant wrinkles and such like that, and it gives the best overall perspective for a buyer. I have never got a doesn't item not described because it didn't look like it did in the pictures.
Right.
And
That's awesome.
that is something that denim is very susceptible to, is lighting. I mean, it will absolutely change color if you use studio light versus outside light versus uh, dark, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It is very, very sensitive to the light source that you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and especially if you're just starting out reselling, take advantage of that if you have access to good sunlight.
Right, by a
You don't
window.
need to. Yeah, exactly.
Go,
Yeah,
you just go by the window.
for sure. Teaching AI says, "Thank you for all the tips. I have about 30 pairs of flawed True Religion jeans to work on."
Yeah, that's good, man. It's there's always, I'll tell you this, it's not going to be very good if you first try out, or once you first start, it's not going to be very good. So don't hold yourself to a super high standard. I probably
Mm-hmm.
ruined 500 pairs of 501s before I ever did one that was worth it. So, I mean, I've thrown
Yeah.
money. I literally had a Benjamin Franklin bonfire in my backyard a few times um,
Yeah.
on jeans, just burning money.
Hmm.
So it takes a while to
Yeah.
learn how to do it.
Yeah. It's all like that investment into your future, into learning and teaching
Yeah,
other people too. So
absolutely.
for sure. So Andy, where can people find you if you want to be found?
Oh,
Where
yeah.
can people get a hold of you? Like if they just
Well,
had a question or whatnot, what's the best
well, for the
place?
most part, collectively, I mean, if you have a question for me, I have an Instagram. I'm not very active on it, but
Mm-hmm.
I do,
Mm-hmm.
do messaging and stuff like that. just
Okay.
Denny.denim on Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then just my name, Andy Greenslitt on Facebook.
Okay.
eBay store is Denny_denim. So
Okay.
that's pretty much the places that you can find me, and places if you want to reach out, I'm always more than happy to help.
Okay. I'll put your Instagram name in the description, so when people watch on the replay, they can reach out. But yeah, I appreciate all your time. If you want to know what else is selling in our eBay store and kind of the things that we're picking up, you can check out this video right here, and you can check out what I'm choosing to put in the store, what I'm choosing to leave behind. I appreciate you all. I appreciate your time, Andy, and you guys have a blessed rest of the weekend. Take care.
Absolutely. Thanks, buddy.